So we're working on the kitchen today. We are finishing up our cabinets. We've already done about 90% of the cabinets, but we just had some like minor little things that we needed to do on the island. And then we are going to be pouring our concrete countertop on our island. We already poured the concrete countertops on the main part of the kitchen, and I'll show that to you in a bit. But right now I'm putting together, this is a slide out for our compost bins. We got all of our cabinetry at IKEA. It was just really affordable there, and they had everything I wanted and all kinds of fun little gadgets to make life easier. So I bought my compost bins from there, and these are the small compost bins that you put like your chicken scraps in. And so the compost bins, 2 of them fit perfectly in this little drawer, and then this slides out from underneath the kitchen sink. So I'm gonna put this together. In the plans for this little slider, it has you not complete the top rails until after you've installed it. And I'm not sure why they did that. If you have enough clearance, I would recommend just installing the whole thing because it makes it so much easier and you don't have to screw in the tops when it's underneath your cabinet. So Garrett is just using the templates to make the holes where he's going to be screwing in the racks. This template comes with like 2 margins, one on each side. Originally, we had it completely backed up against the side of the cabinet, but we realized that the hinge might get in the way. So we went ahead and we didn't fold that margin in like the instructions said. So this is a little bit to the right so that there's plenty of clearance for the hinges. We're just making sure that the holes line up. These tracks have 2 holes in the back, so if you made a mistake and your cabinet door doesn't close, you can move it back a whole nother, I think it's about 1/2 inch to 1 inch. So there's a little bit of wiggle room with the design. That's the one thing I really love about IKEA is they think of everything with these things. So now that we've got them lined up, we're going to screw these in, and we're actually only going to put a couple screws in, and we're going to test the track one more time before we screw in the last 2 screws. That way, if we need to make any adjustments, we can. This is what I was talking about earlier about just putting the whole thing together at first, because the instructions have you do this top rail last after you've installed everything. I would just go ahead and put this on the system before installing it into the cabinet, because you'll see in a minute it was kind of a pain to screw this part to the rail that's already there. So see, it would have been much easier to not have to crouch down and do this when the track's already installed. I should have just done it on the table, but I was trying to follow the instructions. So these are the bins, the compost bins that go inside this track, and they are fitted for this track. I bought this track and the bins a couple years ago, but I actually forgot that I had this track. But I've been using these compost bins for a couple years now, and I just love them. They're so convenient. I like that the lids are nice and snug, and I love that it has this handle. And if you don't like the handles, they're actually removable, which is really nice too. So if you want to put a bag in these bins, you can. You just remove the handle, but actually a bag will fit with the handle on there. However, I don't put any plastic bags in my compost bins because I empty them out every day, and I usually clean them too. To clean my bins, I just use a little bit of dish soap, a couple drops, and I have a sponge that is designated just for my compost bins and my trash cans, and I keep it in a special compartment underneath the sink so that it doesn't get used for dishes or household cleaning. And I just use the scrubby side to scrub out the inside really well. Usually, because I empty mine every day, they're usually not very dirty, but they'll always have some kind of residue from stuff that was in there from like vegetables and things, because that's pretty much all we put in here. So I like to clean them out as often as I can just to keep it smelling good. But I do have one little trick for keeping your compost bin smelling nice, which I'll show you in just a minute. Also, I have 2 compost bins down there, and one I use for stuff that can go in the compost, and the other one I use for stuff that I don't want to put in the compost, like meats or bones or things that can have bad bacteria. I usually won't put that in my big compost bin outside. So those type of scraps I usually will feed to the chickens. So my second compost bin that I use for meat scraps and bones, those get emptied out almost immediately. I don't leave them in the compost bins, not even for a day. So after dinner or while I'm cooking dinner, or if we have any like leftover food, I'll put it in that compost bin, and then someone will go out and feed it to the chickens right away. That way we're not feeding rotten stuff to our chickens either. But still, I just like to keep them nice and separate. So to keep my compost bins smelling good, I use peppermint essential oil. Pick a good one that's really nice and strong that you like. There's like chocolate mint and all kinds of different kinds. I just use regular peppermint, and I'll put a few drops on a sponge, and I wipe down the entire inside of the compost bin, and then I also wipe down the lid. And this keeps your compost bin smelling good all the time, even when you have broccoli in there or whatever. Like I said before, usually I don't keep stuff in here for very long. I empty it out almost daily, but sometimes I'll forget, and on the days where I've gone 1 to 2 days or even 3 days without emptying it, it still smells like peppermint. So I just like to do that as an added step. But you can use any type of essential oil that you like. Mexican mint marigold is another one of my favorites. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you try out these compost bins for yourself. They're definitely a back saver, and it keeps things nice and tidy under your sink. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.